Hey everybody, Scott here. Hope you're having a great day. This is the first video in a series we're going to do over the next year and a half to 2 years, chronicling a development project my wife and I are undertaking in the City Heights neighborhood of San Diego. This is a great opportunity if you are interested in development to follow along, learn from our mistakes. I have previous experience in managing property, improving property, and finding good investments through various career choices I made. This is the first time I and my wife will be taking a project from buying the property to developing the end product and then renting it out. So you'll be able to follow every step of the way, see how we do. This first video is going to be financial in nature. I'm going to show you how we evaluated the property, our financial models we use, the program we use to verify rents, and I'm going to step you through how we walked away from one property and then also how we found this property, and then after we did a deeper dive into it, why we realized we really found a gem. I hope you enjoy this video. If you want to follow us through this entire process, please go ahead and subscribe. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, or if you see us doing something that you think is wrong and you have experience, please stick it in the comments below. Love some feedback. All right, let's get started. All right, so this is the listing, and I want to walk you through a couple things here so that when you're looking at properties, you know some things to look at. First of all, this property was listed at $850,000, getting no activity, so they relisted it at $695,000, which is when it caught my attention. I was looking for duplexes under $700,000 in this area. Took us a couple days to get over to see it. By that time, they had a offer in hand that they were counter offering, and so we ended up coming up over and above where the other offer was. We agreed to waive all contingencies and close in 10 days as long as the existing tenant was out. So let me walk through kind of why we did that here and things you should be looking at. So as you go through here, the MLS will give you the number of buildings and the number of units. So 2 buildings, 2 units, that means each unit obviously is its own building. That was appealing. Year built 1950, that's not appealing. Scrolling down here, this is the key part that a lot of people don't pay attention to, and it's especially important if you're buying a property to watch this. Now, we were bidding on a duplex, actually it was a 3-plex, just a couple months before this. Came in with $25,000 of making that purchase, and the agent had said right here that the tenant pays all the utilities. When we got out there and looked at it, we saw there was only one gas meter, only one water meter. Well, if that's the case, the tenant's not paying the utility, the owner is. So when we had the agent double check with the owner, he said, oh yeah, the owner pays it, it's not the tenant. That can be, when you're talking in San Diego, water, gas, and electric per unit, that can run $200-300 a month, and it completely destroys your cash flow. So that actually blew up this deal. So it was very appealing here that the owner was not paying any of this, and we were able to verify that with the agent. And he actually put us in contact directly with the seller, and he confirmed that also. Now, as you come down here, obviously you don't want to see Melrose fees, which you're not going to see in any older units. You'd rather not have an HOA. Here's a spot that a lot of agents mess up on. So it's an ethics requirement as an agent that you only sell what you are trained in and competent. But agents do not turn down any opportunity they get to make a buck. So lots of times you'll see agents and they just don't fill this out. You won't know if you got 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, what you have, and it makes it a lot harder to do analysis. This agent did a really good job. Each unit's 2 bedroom, 1 bath. She had approximate square footage. This was off a little bit. But you can see it shows there's no actual rent and there's no projected rent. Typically what you'll see is the actual rent will be like $1,000 and the projected rent will be $2,500. We just didn't want to raise the rent for 10 years. You need to verify the rents because that's a very important factor in your calculations. In this case, they had paid the tenant to get out of the front unit. In the back unit, there was a squatter. So in the course of everything, we actually contributed with the seller 50-50 to get the squatter out, and then we closed after that. So looking at the price here, we ended up paying $730. You want to try and justify the rents. So this is a program I highly recommend you use. It's called Rentometer, and it's Rentometer.com, and this is the address of the property, and I just plugged in $2,500. Now the reason I did this is I was able to look on the MLS and see that the owner had the front unit listed for rent at $2,900, and he said he was getting calls. So if he was getting calls at $2,900, I was confident I could get $2,500. So what I did is it's $2,500 for a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, looking back 12 months within a half a mile in a house duplex. And here it shows you that the average rent is $2,740. And the median's also $2,740. And this is kind of your standard deviation range here. So it also shows you a map. And if you click on the view, the pro report, it'll show you every single house or condo that was for sale or rent in that time period. Now, the one issue you have to be careful of here is it goes out to sites like Zillow.com, Realtor.com, and pulls rentals up. However, the prices it lists are the prices it was offered. The programs don't know what it actually rented for. So if it rented at a discount, you don't know. And sometimes if they list it $3,000 then drop to $2,500, this site doesn't adjust and change that. So these numbers are always a little bit high, which is why I figured, okay, $2,500 per unit, I think I'm going to be okay using that number. So then let's go over to our financial analyst sheet here. This spreadsheet is one I've used since about 2011 when I had a radio show and was helping investors evaluate property. I still use it for myself today and my investors who are looking. It's not 100% accurate, but it gives you a real easy, quick view of, is this a viable opportunity? So I'll walk you through it. If you would like it, just send me a request and I'll be more than happy to send it to you. So the purchase price goes here. We ended up paying $730,000. I'll explain the reason for 2 columns later. It was a cash deal, so the down payment was 100%, meaning there was no loan. Closing costs, about $5,500. Now this would have been a lot higher if there was a loan because there would have been loan points. I plugged in $8,000 for rehabilitation. Now remember, I had not seen the units. When you're making offers on multifamily property, your offer has to be accepted before you can see the unit. That scares a lot of people, but obviously you have a contingency where if they're different than you thought, you can get out. So not knowing the units, and knowing that they had fixed the front unit, didn't know what we were walking into with the back unit, so I just put an $8,000 placeholder there. I acted as my own agent, so there was a commission, so that came off the top. So the out of money cash was about $725,000. Monthly rent at $5,000. That was taking the $2,500 rent from Rentometer and using it for 2 units. Vacancy and collection. I like to run about 8% vacancy and collection. In San Diego, we run a little bit less, but this gives you a nice buffer. That basically means each unit is vacant 1 month out of the year. We don't typically see that. Our leases tend to go for 3 to 4 years before somebody moves. So that gives you an effective rent. And coming through here, management percentage. I've got property management fee at about 7%. Actually, you usually pay about 6%, but you can see here at 0 because this assumes you're managing it yourself. So this shows you the difference if you're managing it or having somebody else manage it for you. Insurance, $300 a month was a little bit high. That one actually came in for other reasons at about $100. So we'll just go ahead and correct that now. Maintenance and repairs budgeted 5%. In an older unit, I probably should have budgeted a little bit more, but my suspicion was I'm going to be knocking down the back unit anyway. So I thought that since they had rehabilitated the front unit, that this was a safe number to use. There's no HOA fees. Utilities, the tenant pays all the utilities, and that's huge. That makes a big difference here. So it came down to total operating expenses of $1,000, meaning I had $3,500 a month, which is almost a 5.9% cap rate. That's huge for San Diego. Most of the stuff we're seeing is in the 4%, 4.5% if we're lucky. Because of this, I knew that when I walked into that back unit, I was going to see more problems than I thought. So running down here, it showed the annual cash flow would be $42,000 a year, which once again is the 5.92 cap rate. Now, this bottom section here factors in the tax benefits of depreciation, so that increases the first year return by about $6,300. So it was a green light just based on the cap rate. Now, once we got into the property and started talking to the existing owner and the architect, once we had it tied up, I knew that we were going to be able to knock some units down and increase the density. Initially, my thought was we would get 6 units And then reading the code, looked like we could get 7 with 2 of those units being dedicated by deed to low income. So I was figuring I would get 5 units at $2,500 a month and 2 units at $1,500. Talking in more detail with the architect, which you'll see in a later video, he brought to my attention that if we knock down the front unit, which we're going to have to do once we saw it due to some problem with some trees and the roof, we could actually build 8 units, 3 of them being low income, and that changes the rent a little bit. He's also under the belief that you can get $2,500 a month for the low income based on what other people are getting. So if we were to look at 8 units at $2,500, then our rent here goes up to $20,000 a month. Now, I'm not sure we can get $2,500 for the low income, but I know we will get more than that for the regular units because we're building brand new units with washers and dryer, providing parking, and we saw the average in the neighborhood's $2,700. So I'm pretty sure I'll be able to rent the new units for $3,000. So $20,000 total is a very conservative number. So once I had the architect's numbers, what he thought we could do density-wise, I came back to this sheet, and you'll see the changes I made. Building 5,200 square feet, which is roughly what we have, the going rate right now is about $350 a square foot. I know I can do it for less because of the people I'm using and my relationship with them. I think I can. They're saying we can come in at $250. I'm saying $275 a square foot, but we've got permitting and school fees and everything else. So I used $350 a square foot, which gave us a construction of $1.82 million roughly. So I added that into the rehabilitation number here. Now, they're going to have to do a couple other changes as we come lower down here. Management fee, obviously, I'm going to manage it myself. Now, the insurance is going to go up dramatically. Let's say this goes up to $500 a month. Maintenance, repairs, 5% of collected rent. Now, I expect to have much less in the amount of repairs here because these are going to be brand new buildings when we're done. There's no HOA fees. There's going to be no utilities. We're going to have solar. Everything's going to be electric. You'll see that in the next video. Now, property taxes, we're going to get adjusted in a big way. Hard to tell how. We're going to add $1,800 in costs to it. It's going to increase the value dramatically. I'm going to estimate that we come in around $36,000 a year. Let's do $3,000 a month. That's a bit high, but I could see that happening. In this case, you can see what happens with this property now. We're now generating almost $14,000 a month in income, and our cap rate went to 23%. Now that's 23% based on what we actually are going to spend and invest, and it's going to take about 1.5 years. But that is just a phenomenal return, and that's the reason we greenlit this project and we jumped on it. Now, when we're done, we're going to have a lot of options. If you look at this rent at let's say $20,000 is the right number, that's $250,000 a year. Some properties in the neighborhood are selling for between 11 and 14 times gross rent. So let's say it's 12. That makes this a $3 million property. We'll be in it for 2.5. So 1.5 years work, we could probably turn around and sell it, make $500,000. This is not something we're looking to do. This is a long-term hold for us. Those of you who know us know that my son has got something called Fragile X. We adopted him when we were 40, so he's going to outlive us by a long time. And we need to set him up for the rest of his life after we're gone. And I can't think of anything better than a couple of stable properties that are producing an income that we can just have somebody manage and take care of. So that's our goal and our motivation for this. I think with these numbers, you can see what drove the decision to jump on this property. In the next video, I'm going to introduce you to the property, walk you through it, show you the architect we're working with, talk about the timeline, and how we kind of came to make some of the decisions that I've talked about here. So I'll have that up in the next couple of weeks. If you found this interesting, hit a like, please subscribe. If you have questions about investing in San Diego, be more than happy to help you. I've done a lot of this, helped a lot of people do very well for themselves, and it's one of the things I really enjoy. So thank you very much for watching. Until the next video, make it a great day.